everyone from around the world. Glad you've joined us. So glad you're here. Uh, and here with me today from not only from the other side of the world, but also from the future, one of my favorite people, Angie. Welcome, Angie.
Hi.
So
The
glad to have
future is
you.
warm.
So tell us about the future. What are the winning lottery tickets?
I wish. No.
I find that so fascinating that you are a day away from us. Like your day is tomorrow is already started for you. Like that's just one of those strange things.
Yeah, sort of. Um, I find it more difficult trying to explain to people in the reverse that we're in the future. Um, but yeah, it's really just numbers, as my mathematician husband would say. Doesn't change anything. But yes,
Well,
it
we've
is
got
weird.
people,
There's no hoverboards.
yeah, and we've got people here from all over the world. Everyone from Australia to the UK and all over North America. Welcome, everyone. So glad you have shown up and are part of this. Today, Angie and I would like to talk about our big 100-day projects and how it's just there's a soggy middle. Like all good stories, you've got the introduction and the finale, the climatic scene, but you can have this soggy middle, and we are very close to day 50. We're on day 48, aren't we?
Oh, they're all blurring in together. Yeah, I think so. Day 48 sounds about right. It's yes, yes. I could check, but yeah, we're around that. We're coming up to 50. I know, and 50 is usually the point where this is the point where people start to get block fatigue. If I can borrow a pandemic term, we're having block fatigue. Um, but yes, so it is. But in all good stories, you need some sort of crescendo in the middle to carry you to the end. So that's our job today. No pressure.
That's our job today. So, I'm just looking at the people from all over the world here. We've got Sherry Smith from Oregon. We've got Dawn Peterson from Reno, Nevada. We've got Erica Moxley from Georgia. We've got Diane Mainville from Quebec, Canada. Looks like Jane is also in the future.
Yes, and I'm very excited. There's someone from my hometown
Oh,
watching.
wow.
So yeah, I'm like, woo! But yes, it's a bit. I try not to look because it's a bit kind of awe-inspiring to think that there's people all over the world hanging out with us today. But yes,
So, if you've been through this so many times now,
yeah.
what would your strategy what do you say that you even have a strategy to get yourself through the middle?
I think working with fabrics you love makes a big difference. Because if you're working, and I've done this before, um, where I've been working with fabrics that I've liked, but I've not been in love with. And about this time, it's you start to struggle. You start to really kind of go, oh, I'm over these fabrics. Um, so number one, work with something you love because then it's exciting to play with it every day. Number two, if you're flagging, there is nothing wrong with walking away from the blocks and making another quilt. So interspersing the project with something else, because as quilters we tend to have a bit of squirrel about us where we go, oh, new quilt. So if there's something that's caught your eye and you're thinking about it, then make a block or two of some other quilt pattern. So there's that. Walking away just in general. I mean, we're inundated time and time again with news and social media and keeping up with the Joneses. So there's nothing wrong with missing a few days and walking away if you need to. A break, what is it? A holiday is no, there's some phrase about a holiday is as good as something or other. So that, and I think if you can't revive your sojo and it really is just the pits working on it, give it up. You know, either we've got alternate layouts that use less blocks, so you can pick an alternate layout and use the blocks you've already made. You could donate the blocks to your guild for use in NICU blankets, or you know, blankets for vulnerable people, or whatever it is that they're working on. You could swap blocks with a mate, and you know, maybe that'll revive. It's really just about understanding how you operate and what's going to fill your bucket. So yeah, that's generally what I do, but I'm their host. I can't kind of go, hey guys, I'm out. It's been fun, I'll see you.
Well, I've
So
actually
yes.
found my strategy has changed. Like I thought I would start and do exactly the same way I did the other 100 days, where I would do a week's worth of cutting at one time and then just kind of put them together as I do it. But I'm finding uh, mainly, I think it's because the way your pattern is, it's on a spread of 4 pages. I'm
Yep.
now approaching them four at a time.
Yep.
Sorry, four at a time, um,
Yeah.
matching myself to that layout. And I'm really working with a very specific group of fabrics this time, where before I would go out and grab whatever just sort of fit suited my fancy.
Yep.
I'm with this group, so I'm finding that because some of them I only have so much of them, I'm actually
Yep.
going forward in the book and sort of preemptively cutting the blocks so I can get the best bang for the buck. And I
Yep.
think this is where your strategy, like your brilliance in doing this, so that there are places for those big blocks, um, really shows through. Like,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
we're not horrible. Like, everyone hates block 20. But it's done now. It's gone. We didn't put block 20 in the middle when you would be struggling, and the thought of 1 by 2 inch flying geese would just break you. So you'll find a lot of the blocks towards the middle are the bigger cuts, the easier blocks, all of those sorts of things. So yes, I also work forward because I'm the same. I'm like, I find a print that I love and it's got some motif that I really want, so I flick through the book to find the block that I like. Um, I was working the other day and my husband came in and he's like, "We need to get a photo of this." And I checked myself to see if I'd spilt food on me or something. And he was like, "It's the pattern designer working from their own pattern." And he's like, "I can't believe you still read the pattern." And I'm like, "There's 100 blocks in here. Of course I read the pattern." But I was standing there intently looking to find where I could use a certain motif that I wanted in a block. So yeah, I mean, and one of our participants is doing it sewn by Elf. Um, if if we're at a block that you don't like, skip ahead and find a block that you do and just share that on the day. So she's been sharing blocks out of order as she makes them, which I think is really fun. But yeah, there's heaps of things that you can do. I did see on Instagram, and it nearly broke my heart. I wanted to just reach through and give them a hug, but someone who's using Chula Pink left a comment on their thing saying they'd run out of ways of cutting Chula Pink fabric. And I was like, how? How is that possible? And I think if you get to a point where your fabric no longer inspires you and you feel like you've cut every motif from it that you can, skim the hashtag, have a look and see what other people are doing. Because I look at your Chula Pink blocks, and I've done a lot of Chula Pink blocks in my time, and I still find different ways of using those motifs in unique ways and new ways, and seeing something that I didn't see before. So I think, the community is there to inspire and encourage. Tap into that. But yeah, it is a funny little 50 blocks seems like a massive achievement on its own. But yes.
we've just had a question from Rescue Ranger. She's new to this
Yep.
challenge and she wonders, is the pattern the same each year? Or is there a new 100 block designs each year?
That's a good question. So what we normally do, or what I've done in the past, is we use the same pattern for 3 challenges in a row, because it gives people a chance to see, well, the first year gives people a chance to see the pattern for the first time. The second year gives all those people that saw it the first year and didn't participate but decided they wanted to a chance to play. And then the third year tends to get those people back from the first year and the second year that were like, I want to make another version. So we tend to do 3 years in a row of the same pattern. However, there was that year that we shall not name where the pandemic went through the world and it threw all of us out, and that year's event wasn't very good. So we're going to run this one for 4 years. So this in theory should be the last year we do this one, but next year we'll use Kinship again. So I try to give people the best bang for their buck, because this is about 30 US or 30 Australian for the printed copy, actually for both, but anyway, $30. So that's $10 a year, right? So $10 for 100 blocks, that's what, 10 cents a block every year? That's bargain. And I should be on QVE. So yes, we'll do this one next year. So if you want to jump in, if that makes sense. But yeah.
The other thing that happens to me at this point, I'm going to run out of fabric. Which, if
Oh
anybody
yeah.
saw my fabric stash, is just the biggest giggle that you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And part of that is that the motifs are going. You know, some of my fabric is like this.
Wear that with a badge of honor. That is a
And some
fussy
of it's
cutter's
worse than
delight.
others.
Yeah.
And there's that challenge, but I just thought I was running out, so I threw them up the other day. Let me just show you here what I've got. Let me just see.
Oh, this is a good technique too for reviving your sojo. If you're just carrying your blocks around in a stack like this, whack them on a wall, whack them on the floor and stand on a chair and have a look. Spread them out and roll around them in like Scrooge McDuck style and enjoy
there.
them.
So I posted this on, and you can see that this isn't even with the last batch that I did. I think this is only up to block number 35. So
Yep.
you can see I've got it's working. It's working similar to that layout that you had. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like it, as you say, it re-energized me. Having seen them up there, seeing that it's working, really did help me with
Yeah.
my getting back into the next group.
And especially because you're going for a color wash from memory across the thing, it can be a little bit disheartening to be working in the same color group for a while. So to put them on the board and have a look, and yours isn't a massive design wall. Like I've seen people throw flannel or batting over the back of a door or on the front of a cupboard, or you don't need a massive amount of space to do it. But it's such a good way to go, yep, I'm still on track. Yes, I've still got it going on. I know what's happening. So, yeah, and I love yours. I would never have done that color combination with Chula, and now I want to make one all of my own.
I am. I was speaking this week at Festival of Quilts about finding your personal color zone, and once you find it, how you can use that as your foundation and your jumping off point for exploration. And I can't tell you how much fun I'm having with this color combination. The blues all have a little bit of purple in them. They're not really true blues, but there's a little bit of true blue. But there's a lot of purple, but it's the green that's really grounding me, because lime green, just even looking up here, I've got a little bit of lime green in this one. That lime green is my happy place. And it just plays off those blues and purples so beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it comes back to that working with what you love. It's not about working with what somebody else loves or what the latest trend is or fad, or because that stuff comes and goes. If you work with what you love, that fabric can be 15 years old and you'll still get a kick out of it when you're working with it. And so to tap into that I think, as quilters, because we are craftsmen. Don't let anyone tell you differently. We are artists. That's where your joy comes from. And I think, own it. Like a lot of people will go, "Oh, lime green, I couldn't do that." And I think, well, that's great for you. Don't do lime green. I want to see what you do, but you rock a lime green. Show me you rocking a lime green. And that's yeah, I just kind of go, it's beautiful. It's one of the great things about this event is when you see people having fun with what they love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait. I'm like lime green is one of those. See, I use lime green with Tula in this one. Um, it's an underrated color, I think. But yes. Anyway,
You're not going
enough
to get
ranting.
any negatives from me on lime
No,
green.
but see, look, lime green goes with like a maroni pinky color too, or a pink. Lime green goes with everything. Anyway, but yeah.
I really like to use it in my quilting. Like I love quilting with a lime green thread.
Ooh, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to mention was the fussy cutting. Because I'm working
Yep.
with so many motifs, I use these templates just to get the idea of what size works best for which block, and it blocks out this is the actual size, so
Yep.
you really get a good idea of what it'll look like when
Yep.
it gets cut down.
But have you found the rulers make that different?
I said, I thank you. First of all, thank you very much for giving me a set of rulers. And
I
I
feel like
have,
you shouldn't say thank you. It's like a drug dealer giving you your first hit for free. Like I know you're gonna want more.
this one was the first one I started using, and I found it very good, especially when I was doing HSTs, because HSTs are tricky. Um, I did a video a couple of weeks ago on 10 ways to do an HST, and that snowball method is the way to fussy cut an HST. That's the method you want
Yep.
to use. But I find these, like they're circles here, and they're really great to do a bullseye. Like when I'm doing the dots and things like that, they're really good. And then
Yep.
this one kind of sat on the side until this week when I realized, oh, this is 8.5 inches. This is the size I'm supposed to be trimming up my blocks to. So I've been
Yeah.
using this a heck of a lot more in the last 2 weeks.
And but the funny thing is that ruler Marty made specially for us. Like I adore Marty. And when I went to her and I said, "Could I have an 8.5 square ruler, please?" She was like, "Sure, odd, but sure." And she made it, and it's so good because you can cut, especially if you're cutting those big motifs, you can cut them exactly as they need to because you're not the pieces is never going to be bigger than 8.5. So especially if you're Swiss cheesing your fabric, it's a good one to kind of. But yeah, so I have a confession to the audience. I've sent you template sets. So all the template sets that are used, that you can use, they're a nice to have, not a must have for this. Wait till you see those because the cardboard that you've used to cut out, and I'm just give me 2 seconds. Sorry. It's the acrylic version. So the templates are this. Can you see?
Yep.
So I've put washi tape on there for the quarter inch, and it's in my book how to do this. But I'm going to do a tutorial online about it. Um, this way you can just hold it on the fabric and work out exactly where it is, and you don't have to eat 4,000 boxes of cereal.
My husband keeps looking at me. You want another cereal box? You really want to keep this box? I'm going. I
I mean,
use
there's
them in sewing. I use them all the time. It's just amazing how many times I use them, and they're free. It's upcycling, right?
Yep, yeah, it's great, and it harks back to how quilting started. So yes, I completely endorse the cardboard box. And like I said, templates are a nice to have, not a must have. So if you can afford them and you think you'll use them, then buy them. They're not a necessity, as in, they're essential to the working. I find them they make things easier, and but yeah, so But you can find all the templates and rulers and the pattern, because we've seen a few people ask where they can get it, on my website, on my shop, and the link is in my profile, and you can find it. I will, yeah.
Behind the scenes, we just want to give a shout out to Brandy. She's helping moderate the comments, and if there's a link for your questions, she's throwing it in there. So I thank her very much for being on the back end there. And I think she's probably put a link to either the templates. I know she's put a link to the pattern
Yeah.
in the chat.
And someone's just said they've got the ruler and they've never used it. Would be great as a video tutorial. Cynthia, your wish is my command. There's one on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. It's like I've been doing this for years.
Well, you know, it's funny. Part of when you begin, you're just trying to accumulate all those tools. Somebody says, "Do this, buy this, and you buy them, and um, then they just sit. And
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I took a look at those things and challenged myself to actually use them. And some of them I found useful, and some of them I found my skills had moved beyond them. And some of them, they you're going, you need a tool for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Quilting is an individual sport, right? So
Yeah, everybody does it
while
differently.
yeah, and that's the beauty of it. And while I might love the templates for a number of very valid reasons, as I tell my husband, that someone else might not like them. Like, it's not, and that is so okay. And you have, if you need to hear this, you have my permission not to like the template sets or the rulers. I'm not going to take it personal. It's not, I get so animated when I see people, buying templates and rulers because someone said they should, and then they're too scared not to say I don't like them. Or, and if you don't like them, gift them to somebody else, they might like them. Or see if someone wants to buy them in a D-stash. But you have to find what works for you, because quilting will be a lot nicer if you actually enjoy it. But yeah, that's my rant.
I'm just looking
People
at
are asking.
Brandy's just let me know that there's a couple of questions in the chat. L Bill, I think that's L Bill or I Bill. Someone told me that our eyes see yellows first. Do you agree? Yes, our eyes are hot wired to see those yellows first. So you've got to be very careful with your layout, because your eyes are going to just be attracted to where the yellows are. And just understand that yellow is also a component of orange and green. So, in the
Ooh,
absence of yellow, your eyes are going to the orange and the green. And it's really quite interesting when you get colors laid out. Like, you may have all dark greens and blues, but your eyes are going to that yellow.
okay.
Somebody has asked, Angie, where did you get that shirt?
Oh, it's from Maker Valley, and it's an oldie. I don't think they print them anymore. But I know that the team at Maker Valley are quilters, and I'm pretty sure if you lobby them, they might reprint it. But yes, it amuses me, this shirt, which is
Winnie Peterson has asked, she finds the Alexander Henry fabric you're using to be delightful. Do you still have any pearl fabric that he did a number of years ago in stock?
no. No, unfortunately we don't. I've got some of the sailor stuff. Alexander Henry's really difficult to come by. Their supply chain is quite sporadic. So I have the sailors that I'm using, and the mermaids and the anchors, and we're trying to get more of it. But yeah, so if you see Alexander Henry in the wild, grab it.
Alison Sprague has asked you specifically, where do you get washi tape in Australia?
Anywhere that sells stationery. So Typo, I don't know whether you have Typo in Canada, sells washi tape. It is a Japanese paper tape. So the good thing about washi is it doesn't leave, so it comes in, nope, wrong one. It comes in rolls. I think mine's hanging on my board.
I'm I normally have a little bit around as well. It's just very.
Yeah.
I even get it at the dollar store. I don't know whether you get it. You have dollar stores
Yeah,
there.
yeah. The reject shop will probably have something too. The good thing about it, right, is it's paper, so it tears really easily, so you don't have to do that. And it doesn't leave residue. So, for example, if you put them on the templates and you decide like you've put it in the wrong place, or occasionally, like you can see on this one, I don't know, I've stuck a dot on this one. If you want to reconfigure it, so say you wanted to put it on the diagonal or something like that, they're easy to come off and they don't leave a residue on there. The other thing that I find is if you have dodgy wrists like I do, and you're getting a little bit of slippage on your template when you're using it, if you do it face down with the washi tape, it adds a little bit of friction and traction, so it'll hold them in place. And I've seen these for like 50 cents. Like it's not the most expensive thing that you will ever purchase. So
And if you're ever
lots of
wanting
different
to remove tape,
patterns.
whether it be washi or
Yep,
masking, just give it a quick go over with the blow dryer. That little bit of
oh,
heat releases that glue and it comes off really easily.
that's a good tip. But yes, so you shouldn't have a problem finding it here. And I think Office Works in their I call it their lady section, but in their section where they've got all the nice binders and the pattern stuff, and they've got some in there too, but it'll probably be a little bit more expensive. But yes, you can find it everywhere.
Jill Mishu has asked, with a quilt along, are the fabric choices your own? Most of the time they are. Occasionally they want everybody using the same type of fabrics. Um, you may be able to invent your own color scheme, but especially these online ones, the color scheme is yours, and that's the fun of the online quilt along, is you get to
Yeah.
see so many variety from everyone. And this next question is just going to lead into our next thing that we wanted to talk about. What do you do when you're sick of the color palette you chose for Kinship? So let me just bring up some of your other layouts here. Okay, let me get that screen. Whoops. Here we go. And this is there. Sorry. Yep. Are you there? Yep.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So this is the 20. Is this that correct?
There's a little delay, so you'll have to give me 2 seconds. No, there's a big delay. That's the
Well, this
10.
is my
So
screen, so maybe you can't see it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
that's
6, 7,
10.
8, 9, 10. 10
Yeah,
blocks.
so that's the table runner. So if you're really hating your color scheme, you could make a bunch of table runners. 4 blocks, so 2 squares and 2 rectangles makes a decent size cushion. Do you guys call them cushions or pillows? Cushions.
Yep.
So there's those options. One of the ladies I've seen has and I know her name is Lee, and I'm forgetting her Instagram handle, but she's turned hers into a bag, like a big tote bag. So yes, heaps of options. So that's 10.
Okay, and then we have the next one. And this one looks like it's 4 by 4, so that's 16.
Oh
Or no,
no, I
you've got
think
a
this
couple
is the
together.
21.
That's 20.
Yeah, this is the 21. So this is the Challenger quilt. There's 21 in this. Again, it's just a different way of using the blocks together to make, and that makes a decent size. The sashing on that's quite thick, so it makes a decent size quilt.
Okay, and then we've got, this is the 80. I don't have the 50. You've got
You
another
don't
one
have
in
the
the middle
50?
here, don't you?
Yeah, we have a 50 and a
Is this a 50?
64.
Is this 50? Is it the 50, the one with the negative corner in it?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's this one.
50's dissolve. Yep. So that's halfway, which is soon. So if you wanted to bail out now, this is the quilt pattern for you, or the quilt layout.
And then the last one is The one with the empty space in the corners.
That's 80. So we have another layout at 64, which is Brittany's fences layout, which is groups of 4 blocks together. But the 80 is around, I think I called it round the outside, and it's got the rectangle ones around the outside. And that's actually my favorite layout. So that's the one I've made the most versions of. Because if you get to a point where, say, some blocks you love and some blocks you don't,
Oops.
you can use 40 of the square and 40 of the rectangle to make this layout. And then you can put the 20 that you don't like on the back if you get all the way to the 100. So, and then we've got the 100, which is there's 200 block layouts included in the pattern, plus we've got the layout for the as a bonus this year for the cover quilt, the quilt that's on the cover. So yes.
Okay, so now I will take a look at these blocks that we have. We have, you and I both looked at the internet and Instagram feed and looked through all sorts of different styles, and we chose our favorites. So let's take a look at those. And
And we should just say these come from Instagram, not the Facebook group, because the
yes,
Facebook group's a private group, whereas Instagram's out there. So if you want to see more and varied, join the Facebook group as well. But yeah.
so this is So with James, and this is one that you chose. This is block 36, and it's
Now,
done on a pedestrian crosswalk.
I chose this for 2 reasons. One, it's lime green and it's very, there's a lot of impact in this block from fabrics that are fairly simple, if you could say that. And 2, I love a good pun, and I wanted to say, James, there's nothing pedestrian about this block at all. So yes.
Okay, the next one. This is also one of yours. This is one by Bright Side Quilts. This is block 40.
Yep. So block 40 we affectionately refer to as the frame, because you can, the way that the blocks piece together, you get that punch of focus print in the middle. But I really loved how this person has used what some would consider a busy print on the outside, and then a tame, calmer print on the middle. And it's just, normally your eye is drawn straight to the middle fabric, but that punchy, it just adds a bit of depth and dimension to it, I think. But yeah, so that was, I just thought this was an unusual take on what is normally a fairly obvious block for people.
Right. I like how you say that like your eye is drawn to the outside instead of the inside on this one.
Yeah.
And this one, my eyes just popped when I saw it. Holy mackerel. This is Carol, I guess it's Esh 22. Look at those dots.
Yep. And I think, if memory serves, Carol might be using the templates or the ruler for this. So again, she might be. Look, don't take my word on that. I think she might be. But this is a really good example of how impactful fussy cutting can be with something as basic as a dot. And I think just hats off to Carol for not going cross-eyed while doing that. But you see the secondary, like I find it just so interesting, the secondary dots that are created where her HSTs meet.
Yes.
Like it's just so clever. But
It
yeah,
just,
so she gets like a spinning
yep,
dot every second dot. But yeah.
very clever. Uh, this is one of yours. This is by Mcguire 9578.
Yeah, so this one is one of those blocks that has a big punch of like a big piece to it. So you can put something really impactful in there. And a lot of people go for really big motifs. And I think this is a great example of a couple of things. You can use a print that isn't necessarily like on a large scale, like a Chula Pink or a Anna Maria Horner or an Amy Butler or anything like that. You can use a small scale print because you're going to get a bigger purchase of it, bigger bit of real estate of it. So that's a really good example of how impactful a big chunk of all over print can be. The second thing is, and this goes to all the people who ask me about block photography, I would assume that this person's taken this photo in their garden or, you know, somewhere where there's stepping stones. Their choice of background for this photo enhances the coloring in that block, because you can see in the stones that, I don't know, peachy reddy color that pops from that print
Yes.
is enhanced by the coloring in the stones. So I thought this was a really interesting one, for a couple of reasons. And the use of solid in this also really complements that print. But yeah.
Okay, the next one is a threesome by the Pearl Lily. I love
Yeah.
that bat in
So
the middle. Oh my lord.
that's the reason I picked this one, because I was like, I love this bat. Now, this is block 30, whatever James's was. 30, no, not James,
36.
Brightside
No,
Quilts.
no.
No, it's 40. It's block 40. So this person, and I totally endorse this if you're going to do this as well, has taken Kinship and used it as a jumping off point. So there, none of those blocks are actually made to the pattern. So she's specifically made these blocks to fit the prints that she wanted to use. So I completely endorse if you want to do that and you want to go bold. And yes, that bat print, I don't know where it's from, but I would very much love some. Oh, it's Ghastly's from Alexander Henry. I will have to find some. But yes.
And these gnomes, you chose these gnomes. I love these gnomes. I wish I had bought a bolt of these gnomes.
Do you not have any? Because I
I
have some
have
in
some, but I
stock.
don't have
Oh,
enough.
because I bought two big bolts of these gnomes, because I had visions of making gnome dresses. Yes, I completely picked this because I just love the gnomes. Plus, again, it's got that limey greeny color in it, which I really love, and it's unexpected. I think the little use of the polka dot gives a nice nod to something a little bit different than
Whoops.
just a texture or a solid. But yes.
Whoops. Every time I move something else on my screen, you see it. Okay, let's go to the Christmas one.
Yep. So this is Mama Richie. She's on Aussie too. And she's doing a Christmas theme. And again, another one I picked because well, for two reasons. I love a good Christmas theme, and there's little gnomes at the bottom of this. Um,
They're
but
perfect.
yeah,
Like
so
they're just perfectly aligned in the center. It's just brilliant.
yep. So the thing that I really love about this too is it shows you that if, like, you can make a holiday version of the quilt.
Yeah.
Um, So, and lots of people do like Halloween, Christmas. We saw one year a person do a Valentine's one. So, yeah, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Pick a holiday theme and it still rocks. So, yes.
This is the Queen
Yeah.
by Joanne Evansil. Sorry,
Yeah, I don't.
messing up your name.
Yeah, I purposely kept everyone's names and everything when I cropped these images so that because I knew I would never be able to say them. Again, this block doesn't follow the cutting instructions exactly because they've put a middle seam down it, but it's a really good example of using a big scale area, and they've what I call seamlessly pattern matched the fussy cut motif. So she's actually got two colorways of the same fabric in that queen fabric, and she's carried it down through the line in the middle to the next bottom piece as well, which I completely endorse. If you want to learn this technique, I've got a tutorial for how to do this on the website.
Okay.
So and it looks really difficult, but with a little bit of glue and a bit of patience, you too can master this. But I think it's a really good use of that technique in this block.
I see a comment here from Kristen Bridge. She just started a couple of weeks ago. She's up to 21 blocks, but loving the journey. Welcome aboard. There's no such thing
Hello.
as behind. Just jump on
No.
whenever you can.
Yep.
And here's another one of that block, just done slightly differently by Quilts of Wolf. No, Quilt Show Off. Quilt Show Off.
Yep. So this one's really good too, because you would think that your eye would go to the big punch of print at the top, but your eye's actually drawn to the stripe. And I think it's a really good example of how you can use something pedestrian like a stripe to actually be the focus of your block. So that print, which should have been in theory, should be the star, plays a supporting role to that stripe. And I really love that. Like,
It's
this
an
one made me
amazing
really
job. Well
happy.
done.
Yeah.
And then, is this because of the cat?
Two reasons.
Can
This
Aussie
person's,
mom.
yeah, this person's Canadian and Aussie.
Okay.
But no, you have to go have a look at her whole feed, right? Every block photo has her cat in it, and this has to be one of the most patient cats I've ever seen. So some photos, the cat's actually modeling the block, but yes, so that one's a bit of humor. Oh, and the blocks are really lovely too. So go check her out. That one just, if you're looking for a bit of cute and a bit of fun.
Now
But
this one,
yes.
this 43, this is Arling Griffith Nash.
Yep.
Arling Griffith Nash, I believe. Now, the interesting thing about this are these two colors are exactly the same value. And the
Yes.
patterns doing all the work. All the work here.
Yep. And it's an example of how you can use the same fabric just repositioned to make it look like you've cut two different fabrics, if that makes sense. So she's achieved the basket weave at the top of this block by fussy cutting a stripe, and then obviously the fussy cut of the dots. I really loved this one because it's not how I'd look at that block, and I really appreciate it when people see the world differently to me, because I've learnt something from her use of that fabric, and it makes me think about how I can use stripe a little bit differently as
Yes, this
well.
is, I think out of all of the blocks, this is the one that I'm most intrigued with the patterns that have come out of it. I've got a couple of
Yep.
them in my pile too.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is from Bearpaw Stitch Design.
Yep. So I really like Bearpaw's putting groups of 4 in her photos, which I think is a really cute way if you don't want to spam everyone with a block a
You mean
day.
like as you put on 12 like I did today?
Yeah, but for someone who likes quilt blocks, walking through 12 photos is enjoyable for me. But I think it's a really good way of showcasing your blocks, and especially because she's using blocks which and I don't know how to say this without sounding a bit weird, but those blocks on their own might not be as captivating as, say, the block 43 that we just saw, because the fabric in them is subtle, which I
Yes.
love. So showing them in the groups of the 4, you really get that punch of how her quilt's going to look, and the expert choices she's making in color and value placement. So again, this is just another way of looking at how the blocks will work together and not losing sight of that they're actually going to have to work together at some stage. But yes.
I think we're getting close to the end of yours. Nori Quilts. I think we saw Nori last month. This is
Oh,
the
did
one with
we?
the zebras in the middle.
Yeah, I tried this time to pick people that we hadn't, but I just so loved this. I love the punch of the pink matte because it's unexpected against that block color. I love that the zebra aren't a full zebra, like she's given you if you actually, when you first look at that block, you go, all right, that's a herd of zebra. But when you actually look at it, there's not one full zebra in
Yeah,
that
it's
whole
just a
block.
hint,
It's
just a
just,
touch.
yeah, and it's amazing how your mind fills in the
The
rest,
activity.
kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
So she gets movement to this block without there being the obvious all zebra. And so this is a good example too. If you've been Swiss cheesing your fabric, those bits that you've Swiss cheesed from aren't lost either. So sometimes putting half a motif up against the edge of a block is just as impactful as getting like the full queen in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So nothing is lost, basically.
This one's from Brian Ginsky.
Gadinsky?
He's done
Yeah.
two of
So
the same.
yeah, and I loved the riot of color in Brian's blocks. I love the pink zebras, another zebra one. And I just love that he's shown you two of the same blocks, like completely different.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
Yeah.
And here is somebody who's also coloring outside the lines.
Yep.
This is Sarah Celani.
Yeah. So Sarah's in Italy, because she's a very active member of our Facebook group, which I love. So Sarah's block doesn't actually follow the pattern. It's made of the same components, but they're arranged differently. And Sarah said in her Facebook post that she was just led by what the fabrics wanted to do. And I think it's a really fun way to play.
Yeah.
And like the secondary pattern that she's gotten in that block is so
Yeah.
good.
Very clever. Okay, and the last, I think this is, no, I think you've got two more. No two wise seams.
Yeah, I props for the Instagram name because I say no to Y seams as well. This is a good example of that the biggest piece of the block doesn't have to be the print.
Right.
So she's getting a lot of impact from that wave print, which is another tulip pink print. And it's not the biggest part of that block. So you don't have to, you can use your solids to complement something else without it being a showstopper. Does that make a sense?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And this is the last one. Again, we're back to that block 43. This is from Poppy and Fernando.
Yeah. So
this is paper piece. I'm just seeing now the paper on the bottom.
Yeah, so we do offer the pattern as FPP. So if foundation paper piecing is more your speed, then you can get it as foundation paper piece. We also offer it as EPP if you really want to take a slow process. But I really like this because obviously it's fussy cut. It's fun. Those colors, the orange and the blue combo is such a traditional color combo, but it's got new life in this one. And I really love that she's taken the time to fussy cut while FPPing because it's a skill I don't have. But yeah, look at how crisp those points are.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
So this is mine. This is block 47, and this is from Margie Bunk. And again, this is about how a block can be made out of very simple fabrics and have so much punch. This is block 47, just a simple stripe on the bottom. All the colors are very desaturated, but it's got a lot of punch.
I'm just waiting for it to come up on my thing. Hang on. Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's nice. And it's like a candy cane stripe. I love it.
Now, the next one, again, is also, this is from Lee's Crafty Caravan. And again, a very desaturated palette. I really like this block. That flying geese is like a peekaboo, almost like a surprise. It's not in the center. It's asymmetric, and you really got to think a little bit about what you're going to put there. And I really like the way that she's put the high value fabric there, and it's just subtle and great.
Oh yeah.
And all the polka dots are nicely lined up. I know it's a subtle thing for fussy cutting, but it just makes it work so much nicer.
And it doesn't cause your eye to twitch, which which sometimes if I can't, so I don't work with plaid for that very reason. If the plaid isn't straight for me, I just can't process it. But there are some people out there that just make plaid look so amazing. And same with polka dots, but that's just lovely. I love the texture.
I have always loved the owl and the pussycat. My mother read that poem to my children forever and ever. The with a runcible spoon. Did you realize runcible was a made up word?
No, it's a little bit like Gert, which is in our national anthem. I used to think for a long time that Gert was a made up word, but apparently it is not.
But this is where you go, where was that fabric? Why did I not see it? Why don't I have a bolt of it somewhere?
Oh, you can get that. She's just reprinted that. So that's I'd say that's the one off. No, that is the one from her 2020 year anniversary. So it's a Heather Ross
Oh, a Heather
for
Ross.
Wyndham.
Okay. Everything
Yeah,
I seem
so
to
it's a
like
Heather
lately
Ross
has
from
been
Wyndham.
Heather Ross. Because I've got another
Yeah.
one with Heather Ross fabric in this. Now, this is yours. So,
Oh.
this is your favorite one. Like, this has been your favorite child. How come this became your favorite child?
I can't remember which one's my favorite child now.
43. 43.
Oh, because okay, this will sound really funny, but one, that block is on point, and I'm going through a big thing at the moment for blocks on point.
Okay.
Two, it's a complete scene. So there's a boat on top of the waves with fish swimming underneath it and the ocean floor. So I just I did a little happy dance when I worked out that I could make those fish fit the HST. And again, I was using the templates, so it was easy to line it up. And it's just a complete story in a block. So if you follow my Instagram feed, uh, that's how I keep my interest in the blocks, is I try to tie a little mental story into each block. But yeah, that's look at it and look at those points. It's not often that I can get those points to look look like that. So yes,
So we just got
sorry.
a couple more blocks. I know we're at the 54-minute mark here, but this one, I think crafts gets gold stars for layout here. This is just such a classy, sophisticated layout here. Um, Her blocks are matching her banner, and it just says sophisticated.
I'm waiting because there is a delay between what
It,
I can see and
yeah,
Aaron. So
sometimes
I'm
it can
just
be up to 30 seconds.
but I'm just like it's yeah, 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 yeah. I know exactly which person you're talking about. I love how this quilt is coming together.
Yeah,
She's just everything's clean, crisp, modern without being avant-garde kind of.
yeah.
You know, like sometimes modern reads is really yeah, but this has got that kind of Nordic, Swedish kind
Yeah.
of clean feel to it. But yeah, and all of her blocks have a little bit of a pop of color in them, which I really love too. But yeah, good choice.
Now this is Freestyle Quilts. She has done something very clever with color here. Lots of color, but by using the same pattern over and over again, it has wonderful impact and it flows together. This is that. This is a block that I actually did upside down. At first, I got the measurements wrong. I thought it was a 4.5 inch block, and then I'm going, oh, there needs to be another column over here. So when I sewed on the columns, I sewed them on backwards. So I've just let it lie.
Yeah, and that's a really good lesson too. If you make a whoops, you don't have to fix it. I really love this too because she's got the movement in those
Yeah,
motifs, and I love that she hasn't pattern matched those 3 rows because oftentimes with this one you'll see people pattern match like the queen across
right.
those 3 rows. But she's picked the same section of the fabric for those rows. So you get this repetition that's really lovely in it as well. So yeah, that's lovely. Oh, thanks for sharing that one.
Amira, little mushroom.
Oh, Amira, yeah. Yeah, yeah. She's doing Chula Pink too.
I really like the way that she used the stripes in these. I actually pulled a couple of hers, and I decided, only one of each for each person, and really like the way she did this, the
Yeah,
stripes.
and I really like that Amira is just so giving. Like if you go check out her So I think she used to live here in Canberra. But if you go check out her blog, she's got lots of free tutorials on doing stuff, and um, she just has such a great voice too. So yeah, I really love that you've picked her. And she's doing 2 blocks at a time too, which gives you a sense of what her quilt's going to be when it's finished as well.
My next one is by Wavy Quilter, and she's making her own fabric from scraps, which in turn she's using to
Yeah.
insert, which I thought was very, very clever.
Yeah. I look at this block and I go, I dream of the day that I get down to having to piece together my scraps because I have no full pieces of fabric left. um, but I love she's done so many different the blocks just have a different feel to them because there's so many different fabrics in them, but there's still a cohesion. And there's such a joy to these. But yeah,
Yeah. And I think this might be my last one. This is Lou 15 AKT. And again, this is that block 43, another way of doing it. Um, Not super high volume fabrics, not super high contrast in value or color, but really a sophisticated result. Really like it.
block 43 is like one of my favorites. So much so that we have a pattern coming out this year called 43, and it's a quilt made up of block 43. Um, so because I love it, and I love like this version. To me, those colors together are unexpected. Like I wouldn't have gone, I'll pop that fabric with this fabric, but I've learnt from this block that it works, and I love that this person saw that option in their fabrics. And I
Yeah.
love orange. I know orange is one of those decisive ones, but orange is so wonderful.
Now, this is block 45. This is from Thistle Do Studio. And this just shows how perfect that block is for those large scale prints. Doesn't have to be a tulip pink. It just take that big print that's in the line. You've either got a it's either in your layer cake or it's in your fat quarter bundle or it's just a super size print and it goes perfectly in that block.
Yeah, and it tells a story.
Yeah.
Like this is the year that I realized that maybe in my head I'm a like I love stories.
Yes.
Um, but I love this block because you get like who doesn't want to be there? I want to be with those sunflowers. I want to maybe not. Maybe the reality of living in that scene from the smell of the manure would probably push me over the edge. But it looks like a place that I was like, I just want to step into the fabric and go, yep. And her accompanying fabric down the side continues the story. Like you've got that botanical feel with the leaves, and then the green just carries across from the green from the paddock. Yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Now, this is block 39. Now, this is just such a brilliant use of fabric and not being so literal with the block. Like it doesn't need to stand up, it can be twisted. You can twirl it 45 degrees or 90 degrees or 180 degrees. But this one I just looked at and just went, wow.
yep. So, if you this is a tip number one for pattern making. If you read the start of the book, we put in a big blurb about this pattern is just a guide. Like you make it whatever you want. So if you want to turn the blocks, turn the blocks. If you want to skip a block, skip a block. Like we tried to give you a framework to have fun and hold your hand while you had an adventure. But this is sewn by Elf, who is an Aussie, and I was talking about her quilt blocks before. And this is another Heather Ross. Karen, I'm starting to think that you might be a Heather Ross fan.
I've actually used Heather Ross in my new hexagon quilt. Um,
Ah,
English paper piecing. I was using her mermaids. So I do have a
yep.
little bit of Heather Ross in my. And here is just that block 43 one more time. Another way. This is not, this is fussy cut, but fussy cut a very different way. Actually, possibly very similar to yours, but um,
Yep.
just love the result. This is from the Pearl Lily as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So again, see, block 43. That's why I had to do a standalone pattern for block 43. There's a few blocks where I've got standalones coming up. I picked this one too, and then I was like, you can't have two of the same people. But see, sorry, and I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see my finger. The way she's cut the plaid, it looks like a quilt block within a quilt block. You know, the X plus
Yes.
quilt where
Yep.
it's got that. So she's achieved another quilt block in a quilt block.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this one too. I love all of them.
Yeah. And I think we're done. I think, let me just get out of here. Um, that is all of them for this time.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And feel free to tell me to disappear. But we pick the blocks for the last two times, right? Should we do a thing where people can submit their block and ask a question about if they want help? Not help, but like
Ooh.
if they're looking for input or advice or
Okay, why don't
like
we do that?
submit
Next
your
time,
block.
next time people can
Yep.
nominate they can either ask for help or they can nominate their favorites if they say
Yeah.
why. So when we put out the notice for the our next one next month, we'll put a link
Yep.
where you can send your pictures and your requests. Holy
Yeah, I just kind
mackerel.
of think
What a great idea.
that
Brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah. No, sorry. I just kind of got, well, maybe someone's got a question about how they've, do a HST, or if they're fussy cutting something and it's not worked the way they thought. Is there another tip for that? Like how can we help you guys to make your quilts yours? But yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll
So,
organize it.
just before you go, you have something coming up. What is it called? Free Block Fridays?
Yes, because I'm all about value for money. So if you've bought the templates as part of your kinship adventure, or you're looking to see if you would like the templates, starting the Friday after the event ends, so October 15, we're going to offer Free Block Friday. So every Friday you'll get a block pattern that uses the templates to make, and at the end of a period of time it'll go together as a sampler. So we're essentially releasing 4 quilt patterns a year where people can use the templates and see all the different blocks that they make. So it's more, I just want you guys to, if you've bought and invested in the templates, I want you to get as much use out of them as possible. Plus, if you come to the dark side and get addicted to fussy cutting and stuff, then I'm happy. But yes, so that starts on the 15th. I will obviously send more information. This is an exclusive. I've not told anyone else but Karen. So yeah, and it's with Marti Michell, which Marti is a font of information, years of experience, and she's going to teach you stuff that even I didn't know. So, I mean, yeah.
I see
Come along.
Jennifer Mueller has just asked if you need some more tips on flying geese. I have a video on flying geese, so go check that out. It's called Can I Make Them Fly? But that really tells you amazing ways that you can play with flying geese and tips on how to sew
Yes.
them accurately. For me, I have just finished the Festival of Quilt Talk on color, and due to popular demand, I am turning that into a one-day workshop. So sign up for my newsletter. Go to my website, justgetitdonequilts.com. Make sure you're signed up for the newsletter, because when it comes out, that's where it will be posted first.
Is that limited numbers, or are you just, can anyone?
Yes, it's a one-on-one, not one-on-one, but it's going to be one in a group. So it's not going to be 400 people taking the course at one time. It will be, I think 30 is going to be the max that we could probably.
So you've got to get in quick, is what I'm hearing. And it's going to be 29 because I'll be taking a seat. So you other people, you got to be quick.
And I think you're coming. Did I hear you earlier that you were coming on the Alaskan cruise with me too?
Yes, I'm going to bust out of quarantine because we're in lockdown at the moment. And I'm going to lobby the Australian government to open up the border because an Alaskan cruise sounds amazing.
Well, it's
Like,
next May. I'm keeping my fingers crossed
yep,
that all will be well. I see the pictures of
yeah.
it. If you go to my website under events, you'll see these gorgeous pictures of the trip.
I can't, I just cannot fathom how amazing that would be. Alaska is like pristinely beautiful, and then fabric and laughter and yeah, yeah, I want to go.
And was there something? Did you have something for sale in your shop?
Yes, I just assumed everybody knows, but we sell fabric. So I've said to a couple of people, "Oh, I sell fabric. It's in the store," and they're like, "We didn't know." So I'm here to tell everybody we sell fabric. So if you like the nautical stuff that I've been using, we've got that. We've got the blenders for that. If you are looking for fussy cut stuff, then I've got that as well. We're going to curate kits for the free block Friday. So if you want a fussy cut exactly like I have, then we will have the kits for those as well. So yeah, we're trying to service our audience as best as possible so you guys can have the same experience that I have when I quilt. So a little bit of happiness in the mail. But yeah, so fabric, come check it out. But yeah.
So I thank you all. I'm just looking. I see Jill, Richard, Suzanne, Jennifer, Joanne. Thank you all for showing up. Allison, just wonderful. You
Yeah,
all came and
you guys are
enjoyed our
amazing. Thank you.
conversation. Angie and I, as you can tell, can talk for 2 hours without a bathroom
Longer.
break.
I think it'd be one of those ones where even if I was going to the bathroom, I'd still be yelling out answers.
So thank you all. This is going to be available on a replay if you want to come back to it. So
Yep.
take care,
And if
everyone,
you need
and
anything,
we'll
email
see you
us if you
next
need a
month.
question. Bye.
Oh, where's the end? Take care.